Make it growing.
This is the way that we grow stuff, and I'm sure there's a lot of gardeners out there who will be going, oh, that's not the way to do things. We've been doing this for 5 years the same way, and it works. And it's very simple. First thing we do is before we start planting, a week or two before, we make sure this garden's been tilled, and as many weeds that are removed as possible. You're still gonna have some left over. The next step is about 2 or 3 days before we start to plant, we'll come through here with some fertilizer, something like 20-20-20 or 777, something that's balanced. Throw it in here and get it into the ground. So when we start to rake this stuff, that fertilizer is actually going into the soil. And then to make things really simple, you can take something like a level like this or a board, it doesn't really matter. And you run the board just like this, and there's your row. Now, depending on what you're growing, like seeds, like carrots, and the smaller guys, you may not want to go with a deep row like that, but we're going to be planting onions today. So what we do is we'll dig this at least 1 inch to 2 inches deep. And there you have your one row like that. It's probably a lot better to get bulbs like this, that they're firm. They're not soft, and you have 2 sides to an onion. That's the business side, that's the root side, that's the growing side. That looks pretty obvious in this case, but sometimes the onions are fairly round, it's hard to tell. So what we do is we put them in there every 2 to 4 inches, depending on what type of onions we have. Press them in the ground, just like that. Get them in nice and deep. It doesn't hurt to get them a little deeper. You don't want them to be too shallow though. Because the soil's been worked, it's pretty easy to get these bulbs in deep without breaking your back. These are yellow onions, so they will grow probably 2 to 4 inches wide, if not bigger. So what we would do for those rookies, and I'm one of them sometimes, is what you do depending on what says on the seed package, or in the case of the onions, you can set up your next row. Usually we like to keep the onions about 1 foot apart. So that's where I start my next row. Drive that into the ground so it's nice and deep in this case. There's your next row, and then you just put your onions in. This is the cool part. When you're done, just take your level, pull it back like this, and firm it down. If you had a wide board, you can just go like this, and basically, there you go. Probably in 7 days, if the onions are good, you'll probably start seeing the onions starting to grow through there. In about 40 to 50 days, give or take, you'll have onions you can start plucking out of the ground to eat or cook with.